Today's topic, I titled it, "We only have to speak to our enemies, not fight with hands." We only have to speak to our enemies, not fight with hands. And you see right now that is a big thing. They want us to fight with hands to set us up or entrap us. That's what they're hoping for. But all we have to do is speak. And even with our words are sharper than a two-edged sword, according to the scriptures. The Spirit is cutting them, even with the words that we speak. Most of our language is not even towards them. Most of our language is towards our people. But they are offended even by us speaking to our own people in unity. This is the big issue with what's going on in the world today when you watch the news. The anti-Semitic thing, it's all over the place. It's almost like a household name. Just one of those things that we have to go through. This is, when we read the scriptures in Amos, it talks about the word. It talks about us having a famine, not of bread, not of water, but of the word of the Most High. And that's where it's going, a famine of the Most High's words. But they're not going to stop this. Ain't nobody going to stop this. There's nobody can stop this truth from coming out. So the spiritual things of the whole matter is his words. And that's what's burning a hole in the enemy's heart. And that's what's burning a hole even in our people's minds, okay, that don't want to believe. So we're going to go into the scripture today. We're going to touch on some topics that should help you understand why this is such a problem within the world. And we're going to stay spiritual based, meaning we're going to stay within his words, within the guidelines of the Most High's words, precept upon precept. Let's go to Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Colossians 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Hashem HaMashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Heavenly Father Yahweh by him. All praises to the Most High through his Son Yahushai. All right, so our job as Israelites is to what? Speak his words. Why? Because this is what he deemed on the children of Israel. I want to go into the Apocrypha today. If you have a King James Bible, King James Bible has Apocrypha that was initially in it, and it was taken out by the Protestants in the 1800s. We are going to go into this book, and we're going to go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 11. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 11. It reads, "Wherefore set your affection upon my words. Desire them, and you shall be instructed." So all the Most High is telling us to do is to desire his words. But if it's not of the Most High's words, it's null and void. You know, we can have a discussion. There's a lot of brothers who have channels on the YouTube and different types of platforms. Well, all they do is talk. That's not what you're going to get here today. You're going to get the Most High's words and the understanding of it regarding today's times and future times. And so, like he said in Romans 15:4, "For whatsoever things are written for our learning, by through patience we might have hope," right? So we got to have patience in this. This is the testimony of the saints. We got to have patience. This is the testimony of Yahushua, is the patience of the saints. So we're going to go through these books of the Bible to explain to you why we should desire the Most High's words, why we should set our affection upon his words. By this, we're going to be properly instructed. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, and let's drop down to verse 15. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 15. It reads, The Most High hath granted me to speak as I would. Now, you can't speak as you would. You can't speak the way you want if you don't have the words and understanding of the Bible. But when you gather the understanding of his words, then guess what? You can speak as you want, because all you're going to unload is his words. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 15 again. The Most High have granted me to speak as I would, and to conceive as is meet for the things that are given me. What was given to him? Law, statutes, commandments, and understanding. Because it is he that leadeth unto wisdom, and directeth the wise. For in his hand are both we and our words. You see that? And all wisdom also, and knowledge of workmanship. For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made, and the operation of the elements. That's what we're dealing with today. How do we discover the operation of the elements? Right? He gave us a law. It says the beginning, ending, and midst of the times. The alterations of the turning of the sun and the change of seasons. The circuits of years and the positions of the stars. The natures of living creatures and the furies of wild beasts. The violence of winds and the reasonings of men. See that? The diversity of plants and the virtues of roots, and all such things as are either secret or manifest, them I know. Now do you understand where our desires must be? Towards the Most High. If we have the desires of the Most High, then we can speak how we choose to, as long as it is within those guidelines of the Most High. How do we desire these things? To understand the seasons, the alterations of the stars and the sun and the moon and the winds. How? By the feast days. That is part of the law, Leviticus 23. We're able to determine now, being in this truth, when the certain seasons come in, based on his feast days, based on the new moons. Nobody else knows that. You talk to the average person, they don't have a clue. You could tell them this is about to come in, wintertime is about to come. Look at how the leaves are falling off the trees. They can see that, but you can almost predict it before it even happens because of the feast days. You know, at the end of the Feast of Tabernacles, that's when it's going to start raining and the sun is going to start changing in the alterations, and it's going to start getting darker from light in the evening to darker in the evening. You're going to really understand the changing of the times and the seasons. Okay? You see stars falling from the sky, you know something is about to happen on the earth. Whether it be political, mechanical, or even dealing with illnesses and sicknesses. So that's what we should understand. Now, what we've been seeing lately on TV are a lot of discussion of this anti-Semitic stuff. People don't know the Most High's words or what the word even means to be anti-Semitic. Some people think it's just a language. But to be Semitic, not anti, it means to be from the sons of Shem. Shem is the original word for Shemitic.
Here's a book that's called Two Lectures on the Natural History, Caucasian and Negro Races by Josiah C. Knott, M.D. This was published in 1844. We're going to go over to page 14. On page 14, it reads here, in a paper read by Dr. Morton before the American Philosophical Society, he first took a view of those nations with whom the Egyptians appear to have held intercourse, either for war or commerce, in the early epochs of their history, and amongst those whom he has been able to identify from a comparison of the heads figured in the work of Rossellini are the Celts, the Scythians, and the Pelasgic and Semitic nations, the Hindus, Arabs, and Negroes. He has classed the whole series of heads in the following manner. So he's saying that these people are Semitic, Hindus, Arabs, and Negroes, Semitic nations.
Through Shem came the Negroes. Through Shem came the Hindus. Through Shem came the Edomites. We all descend from Shem. There's other nations that do not descend from Shem. Semitic people, Japhetic people, they don't descend from Shem. I'm sure y'all seen some interviews with brothers from other Israelite clergies on certain interview platforms. One thing we have to know about the devil comes in all shapes and sizes. The devil utilizes our people too. Okay, and I'm talking about those who are interviewers. These interviewers that they are setting up to interview the Israelites now, they are coming with emotional tactics that can affect you as a believer. You may even feel from listening to a master journalist or someone who is a seasoned professional interviewer who may seem like they're winning in the discussion. A lot of these interviewers or journalists, they have done this for years, interview people. So they can actually detach their emotions from interviewing you. They can swing the whole discussion from right to left and make you feel a certain way when you're starting to gain momentum. But with all that being said, they may look like they're winning the discussion, but spiritually, they are not winning. There's no win or lose when we speak, okay, about this truth. Because you got to realize the Most High don't play games. They play games, but the Most High don't play games. The Most High says his ways are pure, according to Proverbs chapter 30 and 5. But the world don't know what pure is. All the world knows is confusion. So when they're interviewing brothers and sisters that are in the truth, you may see the brothers and sisters that know the Bible well get a little fidgy and a little nervous even. But the Most High's words will prevail when we're dealing with journalists. We know by reading the Bible at the end of the book who wins. The Most High wins. But for us, when you look at us in the flesh, there is no win or lose. So our people got to understand we need to get out of that competitive bracket where we want to compete all the time. It's no competition with this thing. All we have to do is continue in what we know. All we have to do is continue to hold fast what we have. But there is no win or lose as long as we're in the flesh. Remember, Stephen got stoned, but his words still abide to this day. We have to remember the disciples walked with Yahushua. They all got killed. They got gainsayed, but their words live on. Yahushua got beaten to a smithereens, but his words live on today. He is one of the greatest figures of all times. He is the greatest figure of all time. In the end, we have to understand, we win. We see brothers in the truth who have lost their lives and even humiliated to shame by this truth, by us speaking against all the injustices of this world, by us being in captivity. It doesn't put us in the loser's bracket because of it, but it puts us basically as justifiers of the law. Why does it put us as justifiers of the law? Because now that we're awakened, now that we have the desire of the Most High, we realize where we are and who we are. And we realize that we were brought here not by being an immigrant, but we were brought here in captivity. We were brought here for being disobedient to the Most High, but we were brought here illegally by the Gentiles, right? And when the Most High returns, by us justifying why we're here and explain it to them why we're here, it puts them in a shame bracket. So when the condemnation comes, listen, in order to condemn somebody, don't you have to bring charges upon them first? You just can't condemn them. There's always a petition, a court proceedings. So this petition that we are justifying today are charges. We're bringing charges up on the enemies of the Most High. We're bringing charges up on the enemies of his people and the land. So what you're seeing today of this spiritual movement, it's just we're preparing the enemies of the Most High for a court to be judged. Here's the charge. Here's one of the major charges. Let's go to Exodus chapter 21 and 16. This is the major charge, family. Exodus chapter 21, verse 16, it reads, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." Okay, so were we not stolen? Were we not sold? Are we not still found in this land, in this strange land? Okay, so we have different precepts that prove that we were sold to our enemies, that we were sold into captivity, and to this day, we are still in the strange land. There's so many precepts. But this man, these are the charges that are brought upon him. This is one of the charges, and he shall surely be put to death. Why? Because we are still in his hand. We have not left. When they freed us from slavery, they let us go from their plantations. We didn't have no jobs. We didn't have no clothes. They had nothing. They wouldn't provide the ships to send us back to our land. They didn't try to reunify us with our families that was in Africa or Jerusalem or Spain and Portugal or Britain or even the islands of the Netherlands. They didn't try to reunify us with that. They just kicked us loose like a dog, mangy old dog. And then we mangied ourselves right back to them, and they gave us jobs in the same old rinky-dinky houses or shacks that we was in before. And then they charged us for everything. I listened to some of the stories that my grandmother used to tell me, how they used to pick peas, and it was always on some white man's land. And what he would do was set up a little candy shop, little store, right on the land. And as soon as they pick the peas and stuff, they get their money, and then they go right to that store and buy that candy and stuff. And they said some of that stuff had been there for a long time. It was stale, so the stuff didn't taste right, But they were so happy they was able to buy some candy from the store. They gave the money right back to the same guy that gave them the money for the hard work. So these are the tricks that Satan has played on us all this time. So we're bringing them up on charges. Listen, we have to understand that our enemy, Satan, Edom, this man ain't no punk, all right? Don't get it twisted. He ain't no punk. We should all know this by now. This man will attempt to tear us into pieces. That's why there's so much fear amongst the Black and Latino communities. Understand what I'm saying? But we have to understand that our power is the power, win or lose. Okay? When we speak, the Most High gets the glory. When we speak about the injustices of our people stand beside us, we gain the staff of unity. We give the Most High back his glory. This world is extremely wicked today, extremely. And we have to understand that. We have to stay obedient, and we have to speak the Most High's words. Always. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. We call their peace, peace, and it's not our peace. But we're waking up now. And so all we have to do is speak to our enemies. We don't have to fight them. We don't have to fight them with hands. We don't have to fight them with swords. Only sword we're going to use is this Bible. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7, and let's go to verse 6. When we speak our words, all of our words is not for the enemies. The majority of our words are for each other. Some of the words are for our enemies. Okay, we have to remember that too. Matthew chapter 7, verse 6, it reads, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs." See that? Who are the dogs? The Gentile nations. "Neither cast ye your pearls before the swine." Okay, who are the swine? The other nations. "Lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rent you." Right? What did they do to us? They put us in captivity. "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." Who is he speaking to? The children of Israel. All right? So all of our truth is not meant, or not meet, as the Bible will say, for the other nations. Okay? All of our precious jewels are not meant for the other nations. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 8. What's meant for them? Basic 10 Commandments. Okay? They can keep those. But the certain garments that we wear, that's meant for us. Okay? Our feast days, that's meant for us. We have our own pearls that we keep to ourselves. All right? Should the other nations be homosexuals? No, they should not be homosexuals. They should try to do what the Most High. You can't keep the 10 Commandments if you're being a homosexual. That goes against the 10 Commandments. All right? Because the image of the Most High doesn't pollute itself like that. He didn't make this to be like that. He says, replenish and populate the earth. He didn't say man be with mankind. Man and man be together, woman and woman be together. He didn't say that. So there's certain things that are for the Gentiles, but all of the other stuff is for us. Everything else is for us. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 8, verse 8. "And he shall pass through Judah. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck. And the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel." Who is O Emmanuel? That is Yahweh Shai. Okay, this is before he came in the flesh. "Associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces. And give ear, all ye of far countries, and gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces." All right, what is that talking about? Not desiring his word. I'm in verse 9. I'm going to go to verse 10. "Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand. For the Most High is with us." When the other nations get together, it's not going to stand. But when we get together, the Most High is with us. All these nations may come against us. They may come against us even in Christ's name. But it will not stand. Okay? The Most High is with who? He's with us. The Most High is taking sides. He's with the Israelites. He's with his people. The enemies will come to naught. Look at Daniel chapter 10. Hold this verse and we're going to come back. We're going to go to Daniel chapter 8. Because you look at the other nations, they're always trying to assemble in the body of Christ, right? They're always trying to get together and use our words to soothe each other. But these words are for us. Understand that. If we are in the midst of it, then it's for naught. Daniel 8:25. It reads, "And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart." This is talking about the Greeks. and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. Who's the prince of princes? Yahushua. But he shall be broken without hand. All right, so Yahushua is going to break down this man without hand. So these Greeks, these other nations, they think that their policy is going to make us do what they want us to do. He will be broken without hands. But by the words of the Most High, they will become consumed by the evils that they've done. Let's go to 2 Ezra, chapter 13. 2 Ezra, chapter 13, verse 28. And that he held neither sword, who's the he? Yahushua, nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation. So this is Yahushua. He's going to take this place down without lifting a hand. And these nations, they think they can subdue the Father and the Son with their little mechanical toys. Like Brother Yahar brought out in one class, everything that the Most High created will tremble. We were created by the Most High. When the Most High comes back with his anger and his fury, if he trembles, everything he created is going to tremble. The mountains going to tremble, the oceans going to tremble, everything is going to tremble, including us and the animals. Everything's going to be in fear. We are the fear of the Most High, nothing else. The Most High wins every time. Every time. Let's go back to where we were. Isaiah, where are we at? Isaiah chapter 8. Yeah, Isaiah, let's go back to Isaiah chapter 8. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 10. Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for the Most High is with us. All right? I want to read a few more verses in this chapter, but let me get a few more precepts. Let me get Proverbs chapter 11 and 21. Proverbs 11 and 21. See, when the heathen come together, their whole plot is to destroy us. Don't think that the Most High ain't seeing that. He knows their functions and what they're trying to do to us. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 21, it says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. No matter what they do, they're going to see that the Most High is with us. So this goes for our people too. A lot of our people believe that the heathen, the Gentiles, are going to overcome us. They get scared, and so they jump on board on the bandwagon with the heathen to be against us. We have our own people going up against us. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 13. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 14. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 14. And it reads, and it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up, they shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land. See that? All these heathens, you're going to see them going back to their land when that battle starts to brew. The more it brews, the more fearful all these nations are going to get. When it starts to brew, everyone's going to see it and start to, hey, I'm getting out of here, man. All right? Verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. See that? All these people that come up against us, being the true biblical people of the Bible, the true Shemitic Israelites, are going to fall. They're all going to fall. The brewing of Jacob's trouble is going to be fearful in itself. People are going to be afraid. Okay? They're going to start moving out the country. Let's go back to, probably want to touch on 2 Ezra again. Who believes in the system? Who believes that this system or our enemies or befriendemies will save them? They ain't going to save you. All these enemies are going to be against you, or you're going to die with them. Let's go to 2 Ezra 14. 2 Ezra 14 and 13. 2 Ezra chapter 14, verse 13. Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Do you understand the storyline that the precepts are telling you right now? It's a whole storyline. It's showing you what's going to happen. Verse 14, let go from the mortal thoughts, talking about his people. Let go of these mortal thoughts that these people could save you. Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto you, and haste thee to flee from these times. How do we flee? Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. That's how we come out of her. Verse 16, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age. So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein, here in Mystery Babylon. For the truth is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand. For now hasteth the vision to come, which thou hast seen. So this vision is going to speak. Everything that the Most High has, it all speaks. Every one of his prophecies, they all speak. Verse 19, then answered I before thee and said, before the Most High I will go, as thou hast commanded me, and reprove the people which are present. But they that shall be born afterward, who shall admonish them? Thus the world is set in darkness, and they that dwell therein are without light. The Most High is not going to take any prisoners. For the law is burnt, therefore no man knoweth the things that are done of thee, or the works that shall begin. So basically, what we have, hold fast and teach others. They're going to try to darken this law out. They're going to try to darken the fact that we're Israelites, like they're doing right now. They're going to try to black us out, black out media. You ain't going to hear about us no more. That's what their aim is, to do away with us. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 8. And let's start where we left off at verse 11. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 11. And when you see that the law is burnt, it meaning believe this to be the laws are done away with. What kind of counsel are you giving each other if you don't believe his testimony? Think about that. If the testimony and the words of the Most High is not there. Isaiah 8 and 11. For the Most High spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say ye not, a confederacy to all of them, to whom this people shall say, a confederacy. Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. The confederacy, y'all know who the confederacy is. Psalms 83. With that confederacy, a lot of our own people believe in those confederacies. They don't think we can ever lift our head up. What we're doing doesn't make sense to them. Why don't we believe like everybody else? Why do we have to be so mean? Why do we have to say that we're the chosen people? We already got, they probably say in their minds, there's already Jewish people. How can you say that? We have our own people going against us without doing any research, without having any understanding. They all believe the words of the dragon and not the words of the Most High. Verse 13, sanctify the Most High of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for again, and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall, and be broken, and snared, and be taken. All right, so we were put in captivity. To be spared and to be taken, a lot of us went into captivity because we didn't believe. elementary. Or even, they didn't even believe in themselves. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 15. We're going to Isaiah 8 and 16. Look at this. Bind up the testimony. Seal the law among my disciples. See that? This is where we go back to what we first brought out, was Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 11. We have to desire the word of the Most High. If we desire the word, we're getting sealed. That's a testimony. And I will wait upon the Most High that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. That's what we're all doing. We're seeking for his face to return. Behold, I and the children whom the Most High have given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel. That's us. From the Most High of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, things ain't going right in your life. Maybe you need some help. They don't send you to the prophets. They send you to the heathen. They send you to those who don't understand the words of the Most High. This book right here is our healing medicine. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God? For the living to the dead. To the law, this is the correction, verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, all right, this is your recipe book right here. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Anybody that we encounter, if they do not speak according to this word, there's no light in them. If they can't bring you into the truth or even step to you, hey, brother, I got a flyer, where you could say, man, I'm an Israelite too. You guys are in unison. But those who can't speak that way are not in unison with us. They have wizard or familiar spirits of other gods. Verse 21, and they shall pass through it hardly, be stead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold, trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. This is what the scriptures was talking about in 2nd Ezra that we read when he spoke in chapter 14, verse 21, for thy law is burnt. For thy law is burnt. Therefore no man knoweth the things that are done of thee, or the works that shall begin. This is our people. When they don't have the law, they don't have affection. They don't know what to speak. They don't know how to fight. Right? We know how to fight now, but the rest of the world do not know how to fight. Look at verse 20 again. Isaiah 8, verse 20. It says, to the law and to the testimony. Listen to what it says. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So we are to speak to our people. Also, we can speak to our enemies. We can speak to anything that was created on this earth from the Most High and cause things to change. Realize that thing. We have power. We just never realized the power that we have. Let's go to Joshua chapter 10. Joshua chapter 10 in the Old Testament. Joshua chapter 10, and let's go to verse 14. Joshua 10 and 14. And there was no day like that, before it or after it, that the Most High hearkened unto the voice of a man. For the Most High fought for Israel. Why? What did the Most High do for them? Look at verse 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. So what did they do? They spoke they spoke. What did they speak of? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 17. It reads, "For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made and the operation of the elements, the beginning, ending, and midst of the times, the alterations of the turning of the sun, and the change of seasons, the circles of years, and the positioning of stars." See that? What did Joshua do? He spoke to the Most High, and he spoke to the sun, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed. In Joshua chapter 10, verse 14 again, let's go back. Joshua 10 and 14, "And there was no day like that, before it or after it, that the Most High hearkened unto the voice of a man." Why did the Most High listen to Joshua? Joshua was obedient. He was obedient, and he worked for the Father. The things that he was doing was for the nation of Israel, and there were orders given by the Father. Why have there not been a day like it before or after it? Because men do not believe. Men do not believe in the Most High. They don't believe that the Most High is with them. And, I mean, when you look through the scriptures, you see Saul didn't believe. He had to go and pull up Samuel from the grave to see if Israel was going to win. He went to familiar spirits and wizards. He went to demons. The Most High wasn't with Saul because he did not believe. And then you look at all the kingdoms that came afterwards. The only one that had the mind and heart of the Most High was King David after that. After that, no one else. That's why the kingdom was split in two. No one else believed that way. All our kings fell. None of them had the faith and belief as Joshua had. Exodus chapter 14 and verse 14. Exodus 14 and 14. What does it say here? It says, "The Most High shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace." You see that? All we got to do is speak, and the Most High will fight for us. We have to learn to speak to things with our belief. Let's look at some examples. Let's go to Numbers chapter 20. I mean, we got to remember what we read, the very first verse in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 and 11. We said, "Wherefore say your affection upon my words, desire them, and ye shall be instructed." Ye shall be instructed. Numbers chapter 20, verse 7. Let's read that. Numbers 20 and 7. And it reads, "And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Most High, as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of the rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smite the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also." The Most High was humble, because he still let the water come out. Look at verse 12. "And the Most High spoke unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believed me not," now he's scolding them, "to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel." The Most High can't be embarrassed. You see, he already set Moses up to do these miraculous things before the children of Israel. He wasn't going to stop the water from coming out. He wasn't going to kill the whole congregation of Israel. He had already promised them water. But it was the vessel that was supposed to follow the instructions of the Father was disobedient. You see that? The Most High is going to let his promise flourish. There's no one of us going to stop that promise. Not one of us to stop the promise that's coming. "And the Most High spoke unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believed me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them, This is the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with the Most High, and he was sanctified in them. You see that? So he only had to speak to it, not hid it. We have to learn to speak to things with the belief of the Most High, and it will be revealed. Don't get uneasy from someone who may seem like they are getting the best of you in an interview or a family argument or even a debate. All you have to do is hold your composure and speak with the humility and strength of the words of the Father. That's all we have to do. We have power to speak. We are the chosen people of the Bible. We have a covenant that the Most High has established with us. Let's go to the book of Job. Book of Job, and let's go to the 12th chapter. Job chapter 12, verse 7. Job chapter 12, verse 7. And it reads, but ask now the beast, and they shall teach you, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell you. Or speak to the earth, or speak to the earth, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach you. And the fishes of the sea shall declare unto you. Y'all see that? The Most High is telling us all these powers that we have. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Most High hath wrought this? In whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind? Doeth not the ear try words, and the mouth taste his meat? With the ancient is wisdom, and in length of days understanding. With him is wisdom and strength. He hath counsel and understanding. These are spiritual things that we're going over. Some things actually require action, okay? You can't speak to everything and it's going to happen, because some things require more than just words. Some things actually need action. And what do I mean by that? For example, if you go to a plot of land and he says, I'm going to build my house right here on the spot, the house is not just going to appear. That house is not just going to just pop up out of thin air. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the action. You have to build that house. You have to get someone to build it for you. Then after it's built, then you speak to it again and you say, thank you, Most High, for blessing me with this house. You already spoke it into existence. You just got to put in the work. Now, for example, say you know someone who has a house. Well, someone comes to you and says, hey, my house is full of demons and spirits and, ghosts, and I don't know what to do with myself. Now, in that particular case, you could go to the house and speak to it to rid it of all those spirits. You could do that. You could speak to it to rid the spirits out of that house. Matthew chapter 10, let's go there. Now, if the spirits don't want to come out the house, there's also another order. Most spirits are living, well, dead, really. Y'all know what I'm talking about, people. Matthew chapter 10, verse 12. Matthew chapter 10, the Gospel of Matthew chapter 10, verse 12. And when you come into a house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it not be worthy, let your peace return to you. See that? And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when you depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. See that? So you can shake off the dust of your feet, but you can also speak to things. If the things refuse you, then there's another way to go about things, okay? And we're going to touch on that in a minute for things that refuse you. Let's go to Psalms chapter 83. Psalms 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. Now, some things the Most High has to speak to it. We can speak to it, but we wait for the Most High to speak to it as well. And they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. Now we could speak to these enemies of ours, but the Most High ultimately has to speak down to it, to curse it. You understand? Some things we can speak to, like we are bringing charges upon it, but the Most High is the judge to bring the judgment on it. You get it? This is what we have to understand. We just have to speak. The world was created by the word spoken from Yahweh while Yahweh Shai. He believed in the Father. Yahweh Shai knew that. When we believe in the Father, Yahweh Shai will know that and give it to the Father. Let's go to Mark chapter 11. Mark 11 and verse 12. All right, here's another example. And it reads, and on the morrow when they were come from Bethany, he was hungry. Who's the he? Yahweh Shai. And seeing a fig tree afar off, having leaves, he came, if happily he might find anything thereon. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for the time of the figs was not yet. And Yahweh Shai answered and said to it, no man eat fruit of thee hereafter forever. And his disciples heard it. What did Yahweh Shai just do? He cursed the tree. It's the same thing as shaking off the dust of your feet. Okay? There's a time to speak, and then there's a time to bring charges upon something. Yahweh Shai, charges and curses are the same thing, right? When they give a brother charges, doesn't that feel like a curse? Doesn't that affect you when you go to prison? So I've never been to prison, but some people have. And when those charges come upon you, it's like it's taking your breath away. It's a curse. Let's drop down to verse 19. All right. So Yahushua cursed the fig tree, and then he left and went into Jerusalem. And then as they were leaving, this is verse 19, and when evening was come, he went out of the city. And in the morning, as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. And Peter, calling to remembrance, saith unto him, Master, behold, the fig tree which thou cursest is withered away. And listen to what Yahushua says. And Yahushua answering saith unto them, have faith in the Most High. You know, we have faith in the Most High, brother. So we have to understand, Yahushua, he spoke. The world was created by the word spoken from Yahweh, while Yahushua. So Yahushua knew this. He knew the things that he encountered and said. He knew that things were already working in motion. And we're going to see how. Let's go to Mark chapter 4. Mark 4 and 36. Mark 4 and 36. This is Mark chapter 4, verse 36. It says, and when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and saith unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. And he said unto them, Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? This is the power that we have. Yeah. Yahushua knew that they were, even though they were in a ship, they weren't alone. We're never alone, brothers and sisters. Never. Psalms 34 and 7. Psalms 34 and 7. it reads, the angel of the Most High encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. So there's angels around us. So we shouldn't fear anything on this earth but the Most High, all of us. The things that we speak, if it's of the wisdom of the Most High, it's going to come forth. It's going to happen. If things don't want to follow what we say, and we know that what we say is in line with the Father, we check out the dust of our feet. If you don't want to listen. Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12, verse 2. Luke chapter 12, verse 2. And it reads, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light. You ever wonder why some things come out of you? Like, man, I only told this person that. Stuff always comes out. And that which ye have spoken in the ear, in closets, shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. The Most High controls all things. Look at verse 5. But I will forewarn you, whom you shall fear. Fear him which after he have killed have power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. All of us are supposed to fear the Father. When he says proclaim these words, whether it be in the closets, in the darkness, on the housetops. I was talking to my wife. We went and saw that movie, Black Panther. Okay, I know it's a comic book cartoon, come to life in motion pictures. It was pretty good to me because I know it's not about black upliftment, but there's some, in every movie that's being pushed, there's always something in it. Like in this movie, I'm not going to spoil it for some of y'all, but one brother said, we got to go and free the other tribes. And then the sister went amongst the other clan, which were all Issachar, and she said shalom to them. I mean, they just put that in the movie, really? But then, talking with my wife, she said, there's got to be something to this for them to just put that in the movie, because her eyes open too. She said, for them to put that in the movie, they got a black group that's hidden, and then they got an Aztec group is hidden. And they're both hidden, and they both got vibranium, something that the whole earth wants, but is given to the chosen people. And I was just listening to her. I was like, wow. I said, yeah, you're right. I said, it makes sense to me what you're saying. And then I wasn't thinking about it, but then I talked to Brother Barzal later, and he said, man, you don't remember that brother that did the production of that movie? He came and spoke with us in Fruitvale? And I totally forgot. He was shooting the movie Fruitvale before he did the Black Panther, and we were right in Fruitvale. And he came up with all his cameras, and he was asking us questions concerning the 12 tribes of Israel. We were breaking it down to him. We wasn't even tripping. As a matter of fact, we were already tired. We were already dealing with a lot of things that came that day. We were just, matter of fact, just happy to hear happy for somebody to be there listening. So we were just telling him. And he's like, yeah, I got a movie that's coming out called Fruitvale. He's like, okay, whatever. We kept on teaching. But I totally forgot, what you teach, don't take it for granted. You don't know what ears or who ears it may hit that's going to flourish it, where it's going to come out another way. It's a blessing. The Most High's word never goes out void. I'm not saying that we are the people that influenced them, but that was the first time that he had ever heard that. So it's a blessing, and that was early in the early 2000s, so that's a blessing. That is a blessing. So anyways, going back to the scriptures, we're about to close out. We got a few more verses. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 8. Jeremiah 28, verse 8. I'll start at 7. Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in the ears of all the people. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and many great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. See that? So when we prophesy or speak about what's to come, it will happen. And this kingdom of Babylon will eventually fall. Second Ezra. Let's go to Second Ezra. Actually, let's go to 1 Corinthians 14 before we go to Second Ezra. And let's go to verse 6. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 6. Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you? Except I shall speak to you either by revelation, or by knowledge, or by prophesying, or by doctrine. Our job is to teach this word to people who can understand the word. People who speak the same tongue, speak the same language. Or if you speak to another people, speak their language. But in all, the purpose of everything is to speak. So when we speak the Most High's words, it's going to affect the world. That's why I said, even if I pray in an unknown tongue, I pray to the Father. The Father understands my words. Anything that we speak to the Father, he's going to answer it if it's his will. Okay, we have to understand that. So if a brother want to speak Hebrew and he want to speak to the Father in Hebrew, so be it. If he want to speak in Greek, so be it. Okay? But it's going to come to pass if he speak according to the Most High's will. Second Ezra chapter 13. And I brought that out because we're going to speak in various different countries, like the scripture says in Jeremiah chapter 28 and 8. Okay? He says, prophecy came before and spoke in many different cities and countries and nations. This is how we're going to speak, some in different tongues. Second Ezra chapter 13. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 37. I'm going to read to verse 38. And this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked adventures of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts. How? By prophesying. And the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented. What are these torments? The charges. All the charges that we have against them, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. All these people who didn't labor in the law are going to burn. Second Ezra chapter 15. Second Ezra chapter 15. And let's start at verse 1. Second Ezra 15, verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. See that? He says, speak it. Which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Most High, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Remember I said there's no win or lose? When it comes to us teaching in the flesh, as long as we're teaching the Most High's word, none of these journalists can gainsay against what we say. Don't fear their imaginations. Though they sound like they know what they're talking about, they are off. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against you. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Just because they speak that way, they've trained themselves to be that way. Doesn't mean that they believe the words of the Bible. They have a difference of opinion. They believe the way that this world teaches the Bible. And they don't let their emotions get involved because they have been in that field for so long. Journalists. Verse 5. Remember the Donahues? Donahue was like that. He didn't let his emotions get all crazy. And Donahue interviewed a lot of people. Okay? Verse 5. Behold, saith the Most High, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Coming close to that time. Therefore saith the Most High, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Most High is going to utter destruction. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me. Who is that? Us. And the souls of the just complain continually. Us. And therefore saith the Most High, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Why? Because we are speaking and complaining continually to the Father about what they're doing. Because even though we're in the truth and our people are not, now that we have a voice to speak, the Most High is starting to notice all of our people. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So this is a different Egypt he's speaking of. Another place of bondage, which is America, Mystery Babylon. Egypt shall mourn, spiritually Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for the seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. And we see that now with the produce. A lot of the foods are getting blasted. Woe to the world and them that dwell in the world. See that? That dwell therein. So just think about it. All throughout the Bible, what did he tell his prophets? He told his prophets, speak to whoever, speak to them, speak to the children of Israel, speak to this nation. All through the Bible, it's probably that word speak is throughout every book where his prophets spoke. Speak to the kingdom of such and such. Speak to this people. All right? And then the judgment comes. Our job is to speak. We can speak to the rocks. We can speak to the trees. I mean, you got plants in your garden. You can speak to your plants. Everything we can speak to. We are blessed to have words to speak. The rocks and the plants and stuff, they don't have no ears and no eyes, but they hear what we say when it's of the Most High. You got a plant that's dying in your house, speak to it. Tell it to get right. All right? Your car won't start, speak to it. Start speaking to these things. Speak to everything. Bugs bothering you, you can curse the bugs. That particular bug, not the whole nest of bugs, but you curse that bug. All right? Just speak to it. We have power beyond measure. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 33. This is the last verse for today. Ezekiel 33, verse 8. Ezekiel 33, verse 8. Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 8, and it reads, When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, thou shalt surely die, if thou doest not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at thine hand. Can't forget this. Nevertheless, if thou warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he do not turn from his way, he shall die in his iniquity. But thou hast delivered thy soul. So you have to tell him. Therefore, O thou son of man, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus ye speak, saying, if our transgressions and our sins be upon us, and we pine away in them, how should we then live? Said to them, as I live, saith the Most High, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn ye from your evil ways, for why will ye die, O house of Israel? Our job is to speak to our people and speak to everything around us. Just like the rotations of the sun, the moon, the stars, right? Everything that we read in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. The Most High is great. He gave us a tongue to speak. Remember what the blessing of Judah is in Deuteronomy 33 and 7. He shall speak to his enemies, right? Let's get that and we'll close out. Deuteronomy 33. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 7. Deuteronomy 33, verse 7. It says, and this is the blessing of Judah. This is our blessing. And he said, hear, O power, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people, and let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou a help to him from his enemies. It's funny, I might blow the whole thing about this Black Panther thing if y'all ain't seen it, but one of the main things that the two tribes had an agreement was not to speak about one tribe to the other nations. And that caused all kinds of hysteria for that one tribe not to speak of them. So speaking is very, very big, y'all. With that, I'm going to end this conference call. Is there any questions, statements, or comments?
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.